Alright, in this video I wanted to show you how to prepare your images for printing for your grid portrait. The first thing you're going to need to do is email them to yourself. So if you're using your phone or whatever, however you capture your images, then just email them to your username, which is the login for your computer, your school computer, at bellinghamschools.org. And that should send them to you. If you're wondering what size the images are or to see if they're high resolution, you can actually do that in the email program here during Outlook. If you click on your photos, it'll show them down here, and then you can also see the dimensions of the photo in pixels. And so this one is 4,000 by 3,000 pixels. Same with this one. So they are both high resolution photos. I am going to crop them so they will get lower in resolution, as I will kind of make some boundaries that are smaller, but that's okay. It'll still be high enough resolution for the purpose I need here. So in order to get the photo I actually want to pick this photo. This is a good point to make is that while again in art class there's a lot of assignments and I give you guidelines for this assignment, I really want you to do a self-portrait because it's the most challenging, because you're the most familiar with yourself. However, people have come up with a number of creative ways to address this in their own way. You could choose a childhood photo. You could do a portrait of yourself, maybe in some kind of mild disguise, although you don't want to totally obscure yourself. That would kind of defeat the purpose. But you can see that people can come up with a number of creative ways to address the challenge of doing a self-portrait without having to adhere to a straight idea of what that might be. People can get creative and find solutions, and I'm okay with that. So the first thing you're going to need to do to get your image onto your computer is go to this arrow drop down, or you can right click on the photo, and you're going to save it as. The place that you're going to save this photo, it's not going to actually be on your computer. I want you to make a folder in your OneDrive. If you don't already have one for my class, you're going to name it whatever your class is called. So if you're in drawing, you'll name it drawing, art 2, art 1, you'll name it art 1, etc. In order to make a new folder there, if you need to, just right click in this window somewhere here, and then you can click on new folder, and then you can just type in the name of your folder. I already have one. I'm going to cancel that. So I'm going to save it to this drawing folder. Say I've already saved it here, but just to give you an example, actually I'll go to art 1 here. Maybe art 2. There we go. So I'm going to save this photo here as rock kid photo, just something that's memorable. Okay, and then now that it's saved, it should be on my computer. I can go to, if I go to my folders here and look at my OneDrive and go back to the place that I saved it, Rock Kid Photo. When I open it up here in this window, it's going to open automatically with the app Photos, or it should. So you can see I have the same photo. Now I'm going to go to Edit, Crop, and the first thing you need to do is go to aspect ratio and change it to 4:3 if it's not already that. Often if your photo is taken on a phone, it might already be in that format, so that's okay. You're also able to switch to a landscape orientation if you'd rather do that kind of thing. So depending on how you want your face to fit onto the paper that you're drawing. However, portrait mode will give you a better, closer shot of your face if you're going to. So now you're going to make it smaller. You want to be closer to the face if you can, because remember, like with the example of Annie Easley, if you're farther away, there's less of the face in different squares, so you just have basically the whole face maybe in one square, but you want it to be split up as much as possible. So the way to do that is to zoom in and crop it close. You'll also notice that when I crop it and move it around in here, you see these wireframes. The best way to use those to your advantage is to position any focal points around these areas that are kind of these corners here, the third of the way in. It's the rule of thirds. It's going to be a lot more interesting if you put points of interest around those focal points there than if I put the face right in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to put kind of the middle, the eyeglasses there, right about a third of the way in, and that looks pretty acceptable. The next thing I want to do here is save a copy. So I want to keep my original, and I also want a copy of this photo because in case I want to recrop this, I still want to keep my original. I don't want to overwrite that because then I lose some information possibly that I could be using later if I make a mistake. So I'm going to save it as kid photo crop. And now I should have the cropped version. The next thing you're going to do is open up a Word document. Just open up a blank Word document. And then first thing you want to do is save as and go to your OneDrive again. Go to the same place that you had and name it reference photo. And now anytime you want to access these files, both your images and your Word file for reference, even if you forget your computer, you can always open up from any computer and log into your OneDrive. If you're logged into your name, you'll have access to your OneDrive. So to insert the photo into Word, just go to Insert Pictures. Again, find the photo where it was that you cropped it. So I'm going to use this Rock Kid photo crop. Insert it. And you'll notice it's probably not quite the right size yet. And you need to make it so that you can reposition it. It's possible that if your photo was in landscape orientation like this, it probably, when you copied it into Word from there, it initially will look like this in landscape orientation. So in order to change that, you'll just click on Layout Options, click on one of these text wrapping options, and then also click on Fix Position on the page, and that'll allow you to move this wherever you want, and it'll stay in position. So I'm going to re-rotate this to the right direction. So next thing I need to do is resize it so that it's the right size that I need. So I'm going to right click on the photo, go to Size and Position, and set the width to 6. That should automatically change the height to 8, and you'll notice as I click on it, it'll automatically change that. So now it should be in 6x8, and we can check to make sure, but if we go to Size and Position, and indeed it's 6x8 inches, so that is what we need. Also, before you print, you may want to adjust the color, the contrast on this photo to actually just the contrast on this photo, or the light. So right click and go to Format Picture, and then you'll go to this picture option on the far right, and picture corrections. And if you go to, one thing that's going to probably help you when you print this out to get a lot of more information is to increase the brightness by about 10%. Another thing that's probably going to help you is to lower the contrast by maybe 7 or 8. So I'm going to put -7 for the contrast, and that will help bring out some definition in areas like this where it's really dark on both of these tones, but it'll help me be able to distinguish between them when I actually print it out. Because when it's a printout, the toner looks a little different than when it's on the page. It's also going to be printed out in black and white, and you're just using that as a reference for the contour lines. You'll come back to this image on your computer as a reference for the color and all of that if you need it later. So really, the printout of this photo is just going to be for your grid reference and to draw the contour lines initially for your drawing. So once you have the brightness and contrast changed there, then you can go and, again, if you put this on your OneDrive, it's probably automatically going to save it, but you can click save just to make sure. I wanted to show you quickly how to add your printer that you'll use to print out your reference photo here. So if you haven't already added the Lower Bay House printer, all you need to do that is find the Add Printer button. Sometimes it's down here. Otherwise, you might have to click this up arrow. Find that Add Printer icon. When you click on it, it opens up this window. You'll probably only see Squalcom, and so you'll go to First Floor Squalcom. If you scroll over to the area nearby my classroom, this is the Bay House area over here by B102. There's this Lower Bay House printer. Click Install Printer, and then yes, it'll install it, and you click OK. At that point, you can close this window and then go to your reference image in Word and then print it to the Lower Bay House. And that will give you an image.